Hey guys, welcome back to Supposedly Fun. I'm Greg. It is Monday. I hope your week is off to a good start. I missed the boat on International Women's Day, but I did want to mark the occasion, so in doing so, I thought about talking about my favorite authors, but I decided it might be fun to look at 20 female authors who are on my TBR instead, and so I'm going to run through a list of them. The first one is going to sound a little bit familiar because I started an audio of it in February, but wasn't getting the deep reading experience that I wanted, so I was going to be reading the book in March. It's Beloved by Toni Morrison. Really want to get to it. The audio sounded like it was very good. Can't wait to do it. The problem I'm having is that suddenly I have a library book backlog going on, so I don't know. This is exactly why I have not gotten to Beloved in the past. So hopefully I will be getting to it soon. One of the books that I just got from the library is Ghost Wall by Sarah Moss, which was just longlisted for the Women's Prize. Although this is a very short book, so hopefully it won't keep me too long and I can get to Toni Morrison. Another one on my TBR is Gloria Steinem. I talked about her in my list of books about feminism. And this is probably one of the most classic feminist texts of the last century. It's Outrageous Acts and Everyday Rebellions. It is a collection of her most famous essays. I was in a used bookstore here in my town yesterday and they had a copy. There is a new revised and updated edition available or coming out, and I would love to get that version of it, but I think this is a good start. So there's that one. I do want to talk about a couple of authors whose books I don't actually have on my shelf right now, but I still want to read. The first is Roxane Gay. I've mentioned before. Yeah, it seems incredible that I haven't read one of her books. I follow her on Twitter. I love her, but I haven't read any of her books. So haven't even decided which one I want to read. She has a novel, An Untamed State. She has a book called Difficult Women, Bad Feminist. I want to read all of them. So hopefully this will be the year that I finally get around to Roxane Gay. In a similar mode, I have not read anything by Lindy West. I have the ebook of Shrill, but I'm so down on ebooks right now that I just have not been getting to it. I may put myself on a waitlist for the audio for that one because I want to get to it, and she has another book coming out this year. There's also Edith Wharton. I read The Age of Innocence last year. It was the first book by Edith Wharton that I read. I really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot, so I want to read more. There's Ethan Frome and The House of Mirth. I think I'm going to go House of Mirth. There's also Helen Oyeyemi. I've heard great things about her books. She has a new book coming out called Gingerbread, and I think that's going to be the one. I think I'm going to snag that one up. I should be close to the beginning of the waitlist at the library for when it's released. So, although hopefully with my library book backlog, hopefully that does not mean doom for Toni Morrison. And Alice Munro. I have actually read an Alice Munro book, Hate Ship, Friendship, Love Ship, Courtship, Marriage. I think I was too young when I read it. I didn't quite get it. So I feel like I should go back and give her another shot. Maybe that book, maybe try one of her other ones. I've heard good things about her, but I feel completely disconnected from it because I didn't enjoy Hate Ship, Friendship. But like I said, I was young when it came out. So I feel like I should go back with the benefit of a few years so I can really get in there and see what it's about. Now, an author I've read a lot of, but have not read one of her big books, is Jane Austen. I have not read Emma. I've read Persuasion, which is wonderful, Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility. I have not read Northanger Abbey or Mansfield Park, but I think Emma is the one that I would like to prioritize and get to first sometime. Hopefully, I want to say hopefully this year, but I'm not going to get to all of these this year, and that's okay, as long as I get to them eventually. Willa Cather is another author who I read for the first time last year. I read My Antonia last year. So the book of hers that I have on tap is Death Comes for the Archbishop. I would also like to read O Pioneers at some point. I really liked My Antonia. It's an older book, but it still feels really relevant. The writing was very easy to get into. So I definitely want to explore her further. A more modern author that I have not read, even though I've heard a lot about her on BookTube and on Instagram, is Sally Rooney. I picked up a copy of Conversations with Friends over the weekend, so hopefully I'll be getting to that soon. She had Normal People is coming out in the US in April. I'm on the waitlist for that at my library, so I definitely want to give this a try. I'm very curious to see what I think, given everything that I have heard about her online. Annie Proulx is an author that I really like. I've read pretty much every book she's published, except I've had this arc sitting on my shelf for about 10 years now. That old Ace in the Hole. Just haven't gotten around to it. for whatever reason. I've enjoyed pretty much everything of hers that I've read. I have some caveats, like I liked Barkskins, but I had some issues with the structure. So I would like to get to this. The Shipping News is another one I liked but didn't love. So I don't know where this one will fall on that spectrum, but I'm curious to find out. Louise Erdrich is an author I have loved, but I have not read Love Medicine, which is probably her most famous one. I picked up this copy of it, which is signed, when I was at her bookstore in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I kind of intentionally gave myself a little bit of extra time so I could go to this store. Where is the signature? It's a great bookstore. It's Birch Bark Books in Minneapolis. There's the signature. And she was not there when I visited, but it's a wonderful store. I have, like I said, I've loved her writing. I have The Roundhouse and Plague of Doves is a spectacular novel. I have recommended this to a lot of people and gotten great feedback from it as well, so it's not just me. I believe it was also a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize, but did not win, and I don't know what won instead. Another author I mentioned in my most anticipated books of the year, because this is something from my TBR that I want to get to this year, is I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. And this is the book that got the most comments on that video and the post that I put on Instagram from people who have said they liked it. So I feel like I have to prioritize this when I start working on my TBR for the year. I'm running out of space to put things down. Another book that I mentioned in that video is Fates and Furies by Lauren Groff. This is something that I've been wanting to read since it came out. It sounds fascinating, and I've heard wonderful things about it. I believe Barack Obama even named this his best book or favorite book of the year when it was released. Another book from that same list is, not Barack Obama, my list of my most anticipated reads is Jeanette Winterson's Lighthouse Keeping. Somebody whose opinion I really respect on books has said that this is one of her favorite books. I am very much looking forward to it. And this would be part of my project this year to expand. I read a lot of queer literature, and I want to read more books that focus on like lesbians and bisexuality and transgender, and this would fit the lesbian category. I think this one is also from my most anticipated reads of 2019. It's Elena Ferrante's My Brilliant Friend. I resisted the idea of reading this for a long time, mostly because of the cover. I admit it felt weird to me. I like something I didn't want to be seen carrying around, which I fully admit is insane now. But I've heard wonderful things about it, and I can't wait to get to it. It's supposed to be really good, and of course, if I like it, there are 2 more books in the series. So I would love to get to that sometime this year. Another thing I'm embarrassed by as a reader is that I've never read anything by any of the Brontes. And the one I own is Jane Eyre, so I would like to get to this. I feel like I should read Wuthering Heights, but I also don't know, because the way some people talk about it almost sounds like it would be kind of irritating to me. I don't know. What do you think? Which Bronte should I read first? Which Bronte book should I read first? Feel free to let me know. If it should be Jane Eyre, that's easy because I already have a copy. And I've never read anything really by Dorothy Parker. I have this chunky little volume. It is from a Penguin Classics Deluxe Edition. I love all of these. If you've never seen them before, they are very fun. I've read like letters and quotes of Dorothy Parker's. I've always read them. I've always enjoyed them, but I've just never read any of her actual literature. So someday I will get around to it when I'm feeling like I'm ready for a project. These are stories, so maybe, and I believe this also has letters and things like that. So I feel like I should just dive in, and even if I consume a chunk of this, I'll have made some progress. The same could be said for the complete stories of Flannery O'Connor, which I purchased in January with the gift card that I was given for Christmas. Never read Flannery O'Connor, heard great things about her. I've also heard that she can be a difficult writer, which probably makes the size of the volume a little daunting, but I'd love to get to it. It's also a pretty cover. I love the bird. It's very pretty. So there you go. There are 20 female authors who are on my TBR. If you have opinions about which one of these I should prioritize, I feel really bad. I keep bumping poor Toni Morrison. I have been bumping poor Toni Morrison for a long time. Actually, I have another one of her books somewhere, The Bluest Eye. But yeah, I've read a book of hers, but I haven't read any of her big books, which feels wrong. So anyway, like I said, if you have opinions about how I should prioritize this, please let me know. If there are other female authors you think I should pay attention to, let me know that as well. As I said, I hope your week is getting off to a good start. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I appreciate you and your time. I know it's valuable. If you enjoyed what you saw, please consider subscribing, or if you've already subscribed, thank you. And I will be back. Until then, happy reading, everybody.